Here. Oh, just a second, we'll get started. Making the beat now. What's up? Right, let's make sure everything is working actually. Just a moment. Okay, that looks golden burger. Nice. Uh over IP. Over it. Over it. Ovrip. Welcome. Thanks for joining us, man. How are you doing today? Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate you giving me that encouragement there. It looks like everything is up and running. Dope. So we don't have much to worry about. We've got our first bag here from the volcano. We'll get started here. We got dogs galore coming in all over the place, confused. And now we've got Car11 Carlos documents. I think that's probably right. It says, "What's up, man? Been a new subscriber, and last videos I've seen from you have been nice. Keep making amazing content." And wow, never had a hit of that. Well, thanks for joining us, man. I'm glad you could hang out with us here live and appreciate having some new viewers as well. Rhode Island Killer, welcome, man. Good to see you again. It's been too long. Ah, Andrea. Well, thank you, Andrea. I hope I got that correct. Thanks for joining us. How are you doing today? Ah, this is some, I think, Chocolatina is the name of the strain that I have. It's like 30% THC. Pretty strong stuff. Enjoying it quite a bit. Okay. Making sure everything is good, which looks to be. Dope. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. I got to get the back in the hang of things here. There it is. Neat. Okay, well, welcome. We're just doing a nice live stream here. It's been a long time. Well, we did one on 420, and I said I might be doing some more in the future. And here we go. We'll do another bag right after this. Get ourselves really started here. I'll scoot myself more towards the camera. Excuse me one moment. Well, welcome. And good to see all the familiar faces and new faces we've got here. I know you can't see my face at the moment as our volcano bag is finishing up here. I just need to change this bag. Stephanie, good to see you, my friend. Steph, were you with us on 420? I think you were. And I'm sorry I don't remember for sure, but I think you were there. If not, good to see you again. It's been way too long, whether it's been a month or a year, too long regardless. Well, I am also set up. My dog over there is just not having this. Um, I am also set up at this moment to play Elden Ring, which I know people enjoy watching. People get themselves humiliated in Elden Ring. Um, I haven't decided we're going to go down that path just yet. And I was ready before this, but the more weed you add, the quicker things can start to fall apart, as we all know. Uh, but I figured it might be fun to do an Elden Ring thing where like it's every time you get hit, you take a hit, something to that effect. I assume I would get a very high insanely quickly as I suck at Elden Ring. But that's just par for the course. You're gonna have to get kicked out otherwise, and you don't want that. Okay. Well, we do have that, and of course, if we're not feeling Elden Ring, we can always rant about whatever random topics. Go, 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 go. Oh boy. Well, all right. Let's see. What has yes, you were Stephanie. You were there. I'm glad I remembered that correctly. And glad you could join us again here a month later. Let's see. Hot dog water. What's up, my friend? I'm more a fan of the chocolate starfish, but the hot dog flavored water, it's just fine. Um, I was speaking hot dog water randomly. Um, I was, believe it or not, and I'm not shitting you, I was listening to some good old Fred Durst earlier today or yesterday, actually. Not that I intentionally selected and said, "Give me some of that Bizkit series." That's not what happened. I was playing Beat Saber, and on the Great Interscope mixtape on Beat Saber. Beat Saber, for those unfamiliar, is the VR dancing lightsaber sliding game, which I play a shit ton of. And Roland from Limp Bizkit is on a bizarrely this game that's filled with house music, EDM music, all genres I don't traditionally like, but work well for this format. And Roland from Limp Bizkit makes an appearance amid all the other dubsteppy type stuff, and I gotta admit, I dig it. It's in the same music pack as I think there's one from Maroon 5, Gwen Stefani, and of course LMFAO. But long way to get to tell you that I was listening to Fred Durst earlier today, and I don't even know if your hot dog water, is in reference to Fred Durst's hot dog water. Um, Probably not. While we're on the topic of Fred Durst, and how weird is that you know we're chatting about Fred Durst, but while we're here, we might as well go and talk about this because it's also strange that we're bringing up Fred Durst again because Fred Durst made a surprise appearance in a conversation as well as I had with my wife over the weekend. Mr. Durst, truly, you everybody has their own opinions of Limp Bizkit's music. Mine is probably similar to, well, Limp Bizkit sucks. Fred Durst sucks. But Fred Durst, for a while in the mid to late aughts, decided to become a director and like kind of a semi-serious film director. And he did a not terrible movie from like 2007 called The Education of Charlie Banks, I think, that stars Jesse Eisenberg. It's not terrible. And you would never have expected it comes from the Fred Durst man. But then again, I think he also directed a movie that stars John Travolta that came out like at the beginning of the pandemic that is supposed to be the worst movie the year that it came out, which is saying a lot because, there's a lot of doo-doo out there. Fred Durst, what an interesting career. Um, and the most anybody needs to talk about Fred Durst in the modern day. But he'd see me rolling. Okay. Sorry. Long rant about Mr. Durst. Let's continue. 777, lucky number, says, I think everyone is tired of waiting for new reviews. I hope all is well. Yes, they should be. And they should hound me, find out where I live, dox me. I'm not being facetious here either. I genuinely deserve some kind of like flagellation or public mockery for my lack of progress. So, if you want to start the Twitter campaign, whatever, you know, to I don't know, shame. I guess, do you shame people for not producing stuff? I guess can't really say it's vital, but I've promised it, so I'm a liar. Either way, get that shame campaign started. Um, get out there and you know, light a fire under my ass. But I appreciate you waiting so patiently, nonetheless. 777. Um, I don't want to promise anything. Hot Dog Water says, "What's good? I think haven't seen your channel in a while. Love your channel, man. Holy crap! It's been a while since I've caught a live stream. Well, it's been a while since we've had a live stream. Hot Dog Water. So it's not your fault. It's mine." Omega says, "Hey, I'm glad you're alive." Well, that's so nice of you to say, Omega. I'm glad you are the last letter of the Greek alphabet. I'll always be a. It's confusing that Omicron is the last letter. You know, there's Zeta chilling out there, but you know. Oh, and I got that right, right? Alpha to Omega. Yeah, that's right. Boy, that would be embarrassing. I really thought for a while that it meant something that, you know, I had the Greek alphabet memorized. And why? And that was in like high school physics. We had to memorize the Greek alphabet. Now I understand practically why someone might want to know what the names of these sort of strange symbols are, but it does seem like a strange waste of time, ultimately, because you don't really care what those symbols mean and where they fall in the Greek alphabet. You really only care what the function of that symbol is. But that's just me. I've got all kinds of weird ideas about language, and also sometimes I think, but way dumber ideas about math script and why math script seems to be it's not great. Let's be honest. Like I think if we wipe the board clean, we could come up with a way more elegant, easy to read solution for um, writing formulas or equations out than we've got right now. But again, I'm not a smart man, so uh, let's just move past that for now. But we can always come back to what were we talking about? Greek letters. Greek letter. Dirty Sprite says Long Beach. Long Beach back to you, Dirty Sprite. Thanks for joining us. Love LBC. I'm now at the very, very end of LBC. Still in my beloved city. Andrea says, have you tried the Papa and Barkley capsules? And are you thinking to review them? It's possible, Andrea, that I think I have actually already reviewed them. If you go and just look at the archives, like go to my YouTube page, just search Papa and Barkley. I've reviewed a lot of Papa and Barkley stuff. I've definitely had their capsules before, Andrea, if I've not actually reviewed them. And I can tell you that they are usually a little bit pricier than some of their competitors. They're usually slightly more expensive than equivalently strength capsules, but they are very good. They are very potent. They're strong and totally reliable. I don't think I've ever had a bum product from Papa and Barkley's. So I may have a review out there for you, but if I don't, I'm happy to tell you, if you don't mind paying just a little bit of extra for the Papa and Barkley's name, they're gonna work out just fine. Especially if you have had positive experience with THC capsules in the past. I know for some people, and it's all because metabolism is so odd and so strange, and the longer I do this, the more I come into contact with people who do a lot of edibles and metabolize weed in a bunch of different ways. And it is not a people doing edibles or cannabis of any variety, but particularly edibles, which is where you're going to get a lot of THC, you know, pretty well dosed, in meaning you know what that strength is going into your body at all one time, and the ways that that can affect people and the different ways is pretty profound. I mean, I know people who can take higher quantities of THC edibles than I can, and I can take vast amounts of THC edibles and feel literally nothing. Truly, like they just are. For whatever reason, I don't, don't understand it. They don't get high at all. However, if you put them in front of, a simple vape pen, something like this one I've got in my pocket here, two or three hits of this has got them, giggling for hours in a way that never could for me. Uh, and it is perplexing. It is understudied, but, and I don't even remember how we got on this topic. It is worth mentioning, though, that capsules are different than other edibles in that that's how we got on this topic. I have seen capsules just not work for people. I don't know if that's because I don't actually understand biologically why that would be, what mechanism. I don't quite get it, but I have seen it happen. They work for me, but your mileage may vary. Cool. Uh, Garth Mage, welcome, Garth. Garth says hello from Scotland. Garth, you are my old friend from Scotland. Is that correct? I can't believe I'd actually have two different Scottish viewers with the name change. If I'm wrong, welcome, and if I'm right, welcome back. Either way, glad you're here. Hot Dog Water says, I binge watch the fuck out of your vids, man. That's how you know it's some good content. Well, thanks, Hot Dog Water. That's so kind to hear, man. There is a lot to binge on, actually. It's quite the archive at this point. Wait, I missed. Oh my god, I missed Rhode Island Hiker's question, which was he's playing or statement. He's playing some 7 Days to Die on PC, which I only know a little bit about. If I'm being honest, 7 Days to Die. I feel like it's one of those games. I mean, I know it is a like semi-cooperative action horror survival kind of thing, maybe. I never got into those in any real way. I find them all fascinating, and I wish I could get into them. I know if it is of that sort of same ilk and genre, The Evil Dead is just out, and a lot of people seem to enjoy that quite a bit. It's probably because I'm an antisocial hermit, but oh boy, the multiplayer games that require intense collaboration and basically you want the same group of people to go in and out with you every single time. I've just yet to find my one of those, but I hope to. And I am falling behind on the weed, guys. I apologize profusely. So you know what? We will give this one out. We'll shout this one out here. And this one goes to Rhode Island Hiker. Sorry, I missed your old comment about 7 days. 7 Days to Survive. Is that it? Whatever it's called. It's been out, I feel like, on PC for forever. Maybe one day I will finally sit down and try them. Rhode Island Hiker, I'm curious what this one, why this one drew you to it. What would you find compelling about this one over, say, Daisy or Dead by Daylight? Boy, there are a lot of them, are there not? Popular genres. Okay. Justin, welcome, Justin. You're the one who said congrats to RI. I'm not sure what that was about, but glad you're here again. Thanks for joining us again, man. Chris, welcome, Chris. Chris says hello from the Central Coast. Well, hello from the SoCal. Chris Delano, I'm curious, what would be considered the Central Coast of California? I find geography of California to be weird, and the ways that people describe the state geographically. I'm not saying, please don't interpret any malice or that I'm disagreeing with what you're saying, but I always find it odd that the Bay Area is considered NorCal, but it is right smack dab in the center of the state. There's 50% more or so of California to go. I really consider it. I sort of geographically central, but I like the Central Valley is pretty south. So what is the Central Coast? Is that like Pismo Beach? Sorry to people who aren't from California. Um, Pretty obnoxious to hear. Grovel, welcome in. So good to see you, Grovel. How are you doing, sir? Last time we spoke in April, I think we were talking. You had a promotion recently, and things seem to be going pretty well. Garth Mage said, got his medical cannabis prescription here in Scotland. Legal weed at last. Well, congratulations, Garth Mage. I must admit, I'm a little behind on my international weed law news, fallen out a little bit recently. And, haven't heard about what other countries are doing. Not that Scotland is a country, although some want it to be. You know better than me. Um, but that's so great to know that they are have at least medical there finally, and people can get it if they need it, or hopefully even at some point, just if they want it. And Garth Mage, welcome back, man. I thought it was you, my old friend. I can't remember your old handle now, but welcome back. Um, Oh, congrats to Rhode Island for going full legal. Thank you, Justin. That makes so much more sense being there, not in reference to our other commenter. And congrats to Rhode Island. Yes, the smallest state in stature, but not in our hearts. Um, so glad that they are all of our Providence bros, all of our Newport bros, all of our um, fuck. My younger brother lived in Rhode Island for a long time. Not a long, he lived for like a year. He lived on an island, and I can't remember the name of it. Um, but to those people who live on that island, congrats to you. You did it. It's great. Take it from us Californians. It's wonderful. I hope your weed is cheap. I know that East Coast prices, even for the more legal sides of things, are just way higher than ours out on the West Coast. Um, we can get into some thorny topics. We can talk economics. I'll finish this bag and make us another one, and then we'll talk economics and in the interesting way that weed is interacting and seeming to defy many things that factors that are, I don't know what verb we want to use to describe the economy right now in its state. I don't even know if we want to go down this alley, but we'll talk about weed prices because I think it's fast. But first, I'm back. Okay. Chris says Paso Robles. I actually don't know how to say that. I actually don't know where that's at. I'm gonna have to look that up. That sounds cool. And thank you for letting me know. Grovel, filling us in here, says things are going great. He actually checked out Dune and was surprised how good it was, and that he was worried it would be like the old 70s or 80s movie. Thank God. Fuck David Lynch. Fuck you, David Lynch. And not specifically David Lynch because of Dune. Dune might be the least of your sins, David Lynch. I'm sure you're a good guy, or I don't know, probably. Just fuck you as a filmmaker, not as a human being. I don't know about you as a human being. I assume you got to be at least a little weird. Boy, he had a cameo on Louis. That was pretty great and weird. And that whole sentence now is just fucking weird to say. Do you remember the show Louis? Wow, the sort of beloved indie darling, or not indie, it was a huge hit. It was on FX, had a big audience, but it always felt like this tiny little thing. And my God, has the world changed since fucking Louis? I don't even know if we're allowed to say his name anymore. Um, Very briefly on that topic of Louis C.K. and then back to thorny things like economy. And then, Grub, I'd love to talk Dune for a second too, but this would have been, I guess, like pretty well. No, it was actually quite a while before Louis C.K. got scumbagged out. Maybe I can't remember. Was that 2016? God, time. What a weird construct these past low 6 years, 7 years, and especially 2.5. But he had this excellent web series called Horace and Pete, Louis C.K. It is a strange, strange little beast. I think it's on Hulu now. I don't know if I'm allowed to recommend it because, I don't know what we are to think about Louis C.K. But it is one of the most depressing pieces of television I've seen. It's like a 10-part miniseries, all takes place at this bar that is owned by like two brothers. And it starts depressing and goes in shockingly grim, bleak directions, and is occasionally pretty funny. But Louis C.K., I can't remember why we're talking about him. Horace and Pete. Nobody talks about it anymore. Nobody remembers it. Nobody thinks about it because Louis C.K. done gone and fucked up. Now everything he's done is tainted, I guess. I don't know. Who knows? I would assume I wouldn't, and this is not an endorsement. Please don't assume this is an endorsement. But I would assume that there is a career out there for Louis C.K. if he wants it. I'm not sure that it's. As a matter of fact, if Louis C.K. wants it, I think he could be bigger than he was before. But whether he's willing to do that or not, I don't know. It seems like maybe he could pivot, and he would have a base. Anyways, Rhode Island hiker. It was not Block Island. I can't remember the name of it. It was some touristy island that he lived on. That was only touristy for 4 months a year, and then it was frozen. Justin says, heard the California governor wants to lower taxes for cannabis in your state. Well, that is because the cannabis industry here in California, the legal cannabis industry, is getting its ass handed to them by the illegal black market industry still because taxes are very high. You know what? It might not even be taxes. It's probably more like licensing shit. It is all corrupt to the core. I live in Long Beach, where it is a true joke. The level of kickbackery and shit over these licensing deals for who gets these weed shops. And then, of course, once the weed shops do actually get in place, they grease the palms they need to grease, then they get out competed by the black market. It is strange and surprising because California's prices are so good. I'll say it, like, I'm happy to pay my taxes on my weed, very happy to pay it. No disparaging those who elect to stick to grayer or shadier markets, but the price of weed since I have moved to California, and well, let's say since it has become legal in California. When I first moved here in 2016, it was still only medical. Very quickly became recreational as well. Since that time, since they switched to legal, the price has only ever come down. And that even includes this last year. It is remarkable how competitive prices are with weed. There's, I mean, due to a hell of a lot of factors, but it it is not a place. It is a shame that these dispensaries that have elected to go and try to do it legit are being outcompeted, run out of business. I don't actually know if they're being run out of business. It seems like even if your business fails, you can sell your license for a lot of money. So I mean, it's just a strange whole. The whole thing is strange because, of course, every city has a different way of handling it. Every municipality. So it's again, it's just bizarre top to bottom. But it is not making weed outrageously expensive. That is not the case. Weed is shockingly cheap. The weed I am smoking right now is like 30% decent quality. I mean, it's not the best quality weed I've ever had, but it's pretty decent. And it is legitimately, I believe, well, testing in the state of California is a whole other bag of issues and worms, but we won't go there. But it seems as high as they advertise, and it was like $110, and that is not the cheapest. I mean, I could spend less if I want to. This is, but the level that I am comfortable with. And I also picked up like 500 milligram edibles at that same dispensary purchase and a cartridge, the one that I'm doing right here. And all of that combined cost me like $160. If I had purchased that 5 years ago, that would have easily cost me 220 or more. You can now find 100 milligram edibles in the state of California for under $10 at a lot of places, and that is insane and great. I have no complaints. Again, I wish it were better for the people who are trying to compete legitimately, and I hope that some of the proposals to reform taxes and things actually have some kind of an effect. But my guess is there's just so much weed coming in, and there's so much less eye looking for people growing weed illicitly that there's always just going to be some. It's going to be hard to totally remove the black market element, especially when there are other states close by that are totally illegal still, which is going to have that element of like, well, might as well grow it illegally anyways because we're going to try to sell it in states that aren't legal. So it's confusing. But weed in the state of California is right now, as of this moment, inflation proof. It is my weed bill right now was cheaper than it was 6 months ago. And there are strange forces at play and also bizarro things that it says about the rest of the economy. Theoretically, probably the fact that weed has not gone up in price. But if you guys have watched a lot of live streams, you know that talking economics larger is a real rabbit hole we can go down that leads to nothing good. Not that we have, we're gonna espouse my Austrian. What do the libertarians call it? Their Austro something libertarian-ish economic philosophy. Not that at all. I just have so much disdain. Disdain is a very polite word for the burning hatred I have for the study of economics. I genuinely, truly believe the world would be a better place if the entire field of economics, outside of the little wedge that is behavioral economics, the only true economics, the only economics that is grounded in anything like reality. Don't listen to economists who tell you otherwise. They're lying to you. I truly think the world would be a better place if we just removed it from academia at large and quit pretending like we know how things work and that we can also manipulate these macro forces, because you can't. You don't understand it. And economics is the only science where you can be wrong 99 out of 100 times, and on that one time out of 100, use that time that you were right as evidence that it's worse than that. Economics is a study where they routinely use the fact that their entire, whatever theory they are crafting about whatever macro or micro force, that they get whatever thing that they are forecasting totally wrong, 100% wrong, routinely all the time, and then use the fact that they got it 100% wrong as evidence that their theory is correct. That is what the science of economics is. Don't let anybody tell you differently. It truly is that. It is trying to convince people that the reasons that you're wrong are actually the reasons that you're right. That's what economics is, especially at the highest levels. Your U of C grads, you're all a bunch of hucksters and frauds. Your science is a fraud, and go to hell. Economics, I do find it fascinating. Anyways, okay. Boy, I'm sorry if I missed some people, and I will get back to Dune. Larry David, welcome back. Larry, I've been letting this bag sit for a while, so this next hit is for you, and we'll get to your comment. Larry asked if I have tried the Kana X Buddies live resin gummies. He got them from the new Showgirl in Signal Hill. He says they're pretty good. I have not tried them. I have seen them advertised several times, and I intend to. And now that I have seen you give me your hearty recommendation, I will definitely check them out. Thank you for the heads up. Your daily dose of Hezbollah. That sounds, I don't know what that means, but welcome. Hezbollah. Sounds like Hezbollah. Taking a super high dose of Edivies with Joey Diaz is definitely in my bucket list. I hope you get to do it daily dose. It would be a wonderful experience, I'm sure, for you. He seems to be a great storyteller and a wonderful person to get super baked with, from my impressions. Grovel says, Louis C.K. is still amazing. Boy, the Louis C.K., this was all before, many years before. This was like 2011. It's like one of the two, maybe, stand-up shows I ever saw live. It was great too, but that was many years ago. Oh, Louis. I don't think you need any of us weeping for you, though. You can cry with your millions. But I'm sure you'll be back. Justin says, never been to Cali, but I hear the prices are after taxes is pretty high. Not to get off topic, but you have an Oculus. Oh boy, Justin, that is never off topic. And Justin says, I live in one of those states we don't even have medical yet, and Republicans who control what happens want non-smokable medical marijuana, so pills, edibles, and tinctures. Of course, the party of freedom, the party of liberty wants to dictate exactly what, when, and where you can stick whatever toxicants into your body, what times, what dosages, so on and so forth. All right, buddy, you got to go. Dog's chilling. There's one there and there. Go relax. But Justin, first comment. Prices after taxes still pretty high. Dispensaries, giant caveat with the same thing I just said about how great prices are. Dispensaries matter a lot. Shop around, use whatever resources online to search for dispensaries ahead of time, because prices can vary drastically between dispensaries, and it pays a lot to shop ahead of time and look and make sure you're getting the best deal because you can save a shit ton of money with not a lot of research. So yes, there are certainly places where prices are super high, but if you're willing to do some legwork or in some research, the prices are very good, and certainly better than they've ever been. Second comment, not to get you off topic, but you have an Oculus. Justin, I'm so glad you asked or brought that up. Um, if you've been to our long time Wheats fans, I'm a VR obsessive. Justin, I'm an Oculus CV1 purchaser from day one. I mean, I didn't have actually the like dev kits, but I've had an Oculus Rift since March of 2016. Love VR. I was playing some, well, as we said, Beat Saber earlier. I was also playing some Walkabout Mini Golf. Um, I'm just a total VR stan. I cannot, I'm always trying to tell people it is here. It's already here. You don't have to wait for the big thing. It really is a viable, cool, great thing at this moment. It sucks that it's owned by Facebook. It's always sucked that it's owned by Facebook. Facebook ain't getting any better. But the Oculus Quest 2 is now about 2 years old, almost 2 years old, which is crazy. Even still, it is an insane value that Facebook gives you. The tech that is in there for, I think, $250 for the base model. It's just nuts. I mean, that is crazy town good deal. I can't wait to see what Apple has cooked up. Maybe we'll get to see it in like 2 weeks in some format. Hopefully, probably not. It seems like it may never come out. But, fingers crossed. And then we do know that Facebook themselves has a cooler, bigger, fancier, not Oculus Quest 3, but something different in the pipes for maybe this year. And I'm excited to check that out as well. I love it all. I just love VR. And Justin, I'm curious if you're a VR fan yourself, and if so, what do you enjoy? What's your go-to? Grovel says, am I looking forward to Sunbreak? Yes, I am. It took me a second. I was like, what is Sunbreak? The summer? But no, you're referring to the Monster Hunter expansion, and I'm very excited. That comes out next month. It's weird that there's a Switch expansion. I wish, man, if Capcom, they would have had an easy $60 for me if they had cross saves, and I could just buy it again on PC and take my 150 hours of Switch progress over, because it would just be so much better on PC, especially when that Steam Deck comes out. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a Steam Deck yet. My targeting window is July to September. Getting very excited to have one though. And I'm sure Monster Hunter, does it work on Steam Deck? I don't know. If it does, it'd be awesome, but maybe not. Andrea says, do you work? What's your job? I do a variety of things. I, as some people know, own a bicycle where I sell ice cream sometimes in the summer, but also less as often do contract freelance sort of science-y based writing for different organizations and things. But that's me. And I hate working. Working sucks. Jobs suck. Don't work if you don't have to. Don't do it. Don't sell your soul. Just have more fun. Enjoy your life more. Quit your job. Don't pay your rent. Don't pay your mortgage. What does Timothy Leary say? Timothy Leary? The tune out, drop in, tune out, something. The LSD Harvard guy who ruined it for everybody. Let's follow his advice. I think he was on to something 60 years ago. But we're not talking about LSD. We're talking about weed. This next hit is for Zach C331 says, are you hyped for the metaverse? Well, welcome, Zach. Zach, what a fantastic question. And the answer is, I don't know. I've read Snow Crash. I still don't know what a metaverse is. I mean, I know what Snow Crash defines a metaverse is. I have no idea what Mark Zuckerberg thinks a metaverse is, and I've used um, Horizon, whatever it's called on Quest. They're like meta prototype world thing, Horizon Worlds or something. Not Horizon Forbidden West, which is on the PS5 that I'm playing right now, which is excellent. Some small complaints here and there, but mostly pretty good. Um, and I'm also playing Borderlands Tiny Tina, and that is the same voice actress, um, which is strange. If I was watching the show Mythic Quest on Apple TV Plus, I would also be seeing her because she's also in that. Ashley Birch. Uh, anyways, don't know. Totally forgot what we were talking about. Metaverse. Uh, I I don't believe that Mark Zuckerberg actually has. I don't think he even knows what he's talking about. He's just hoping that people will buy it long enough until he can figure out how to make more money from something that isn't ads, because it seems like Apple really done gone poisoned the well a little bit. Good for them with the whole ads thing for Facebook. And they realize that their user base is contracting. It ain't growing. I mean, well, kind of in certain products, but nobody gives a shit about in the United States Facebook Blue, the original Facebook. They only give a shit about Instagram, and Instagram is not growing as fast as it once was. If it's growing at all in the U.S., it's routinely getting its ass handed to him by TikTok and shit. So Facebook is desperate for a new thing to wring advertising dollars from, and they assume they'll maybe just define a category. And I do genuinely think it's odd how much we do not comment upon the fact more and more, like the metaverse, the thing that he had named it for from the book, as some of you probably know, Snow Crash, was not an ideal, wonderful place. It's such a strange thing to take this optimistic, future-looking thing, like to borrow the naming convention from, because Snow Crash is a dystopian novel. Now, the metaverse is not strictly dystopian, but it is not utopian. It is ancillary to the dystopic world of Snow Crash, which takes place my beloved Los Angeles. But it is just so, like, it just shows again what it's just crazy that it's like the people who watch Wolf of Wall Street and think that Jordan Belfort is the hero, or people watch Scarface and think Tony Montana is the good guy. It's kind of like that same thing. It's like Mark Zuckerberg, I guess, just didn't get the point of Snow Crash, and what Neil Stephenson was. I don't know. It is very, very, very odd that you would name your whole company, your trillion, 1 trillion, no longer, thank God, dollar company, after something that gets its, start from a novel about how utterly shit the future will be. But it also just kind of makes sense, because I think if you've ever read Snow Crash, Mark Zuckerberg probably thinks of himself as like an L. Bob Reif kind of guy. Probably doesn't think of him as the villain. Boy. Okay. So yes, I'm excited for the metaverse, I think. And great question. Rhode Island Hiker 2 says, Quest 2 is awesome. I love the Walking Dead game and the Star Wars games. You got yourself 4 different Star Wars games. Well, really just 2, Darth Vader and Tales from Star Wars. I somehow have not actually played the Walking Dead game. I know people love it. I am a bit of a coward, and I find, horror in VR, even though there is a lot of it, to be extra super amazingly scary. That being said, Resident Evil 4, the Oculus port, is so much better than I ever could have hoped, thought, dreamed it would have been. probably the most VR I ever played in a week. I think I played it in like 3, 4 sessions. I love Resident Evil 4. So, and the VR port is the best way to play it. Now it's amazing. I haven't tried Mercenaries yet, but I will at some point finally give the Walking Dead thing a try. Maybe I'll try it on PC using AirLink because I'm sure it'll look better. But I haven't done it. But your recommendation is getting me reconsidering. Rhode Island Hiker has also played Doom 3. Did you use the like mod? What I can't remember the guy's name who does all of those like Wolfenstein, all the classic id games and shit, converts them over. Um, I have not actually done any of those. I haven't played Doom 3 or Return to Castle Wolfenstein or Half Life 2 in VR using those conversion mods. But I did play forgotten and kind of underrated Doom VFR back when it released in like 2017 or something, which is just basically a bunch of combat arenas from Doom 2016 ported to VR. Um, and that's great. Like, who doesn't love Doom 2016 and who doesn't love VR? Put those two things together and you got a great evening, afternoon of slaying massive hell demons. Justin says, "Bro, I have an Oculus Quest 2 and I love Beat Saber." Well, kindred souls here, Justin. I am a Beat Saber lover to the. It's got to be one of my most played games, maybe ever. Been playing since early access on Steam. I'm still bad at it. I can only maybe beat 5 songs on Expert Plus. Maybe. And so I'm still bad at it, but I do love it. I love it a lot. And I get so excited every time I see a new pack come out, whatever. And hope those guys go on to make something cool in the future too. They've obviously got some smart people over at. Fuck, you would think I could remember the name, having seen the name a million trillion times. But I cannot. Shit, this bag, gotta finish it. And Justin also says VR is so fun, and yes, he's excited to see what Apple has coming and the Project Cambria, the aforementioned new, still sort of quasi under wraps Meta headset, which I did it. I finally called it Meta and not Oculus. Go me. I still think it sucks that they changed their name. Why? That felt very dumb to me. I mean, there's been a lot of dumb Facebook decisions, but man, you spend a lot of time building up the brand Oculus just to wipe it clean. Seems weird. I don't know. Mark Zuckerberg. Keep smoking them meats, my bro, while I go refill. Bag number 3, I believe. No, 4. Play back the tape. Somebody knows. I am already in astoundingly high. That weed, that chocolatina, wow, hitting hard. This must be the 4th. It's got to be the 4th. All right. Grovel says, yes, working sucks. He just needs to win the lottery so he can free himself of his daily drudgery. But, and then crucially, and this is why we know Grovel is an intelligent, wise human being, he says, but he would have to play first. And we're not here to disparage anybody who casually buys a lottery ticket. I don't participate as well. I don't think there's anything morally wrong with it. It's just you are. it's best to think of the lottery as voluntary taxes. As long as you think of your state's lottery as voluntary taxes, like, man, I have too much disposable income. I would love to give some to the state of California. My wallet is bursting. North Carolina, here you go. I'm having a great day. As long as you think of state lotteries like that and not actually, I think it's probably even unhealthy to think of them as entertainment. But then that's getting a little judgmental, and I don't want to go down that path. And everybody knows how dumb it is from a rational perspective to to actually participate in lotteries. But we're humans; we enjoy those kind of things. And a couple of smart people at different points in history have figured out ways to actually make money from lotteries, but those were the faults of poorly designed lotteries and not so much the, luck of that individual. It's more exploitation than strategy. There are actually some really cool examples. A great book. I'm not sure if I ever cherry on topped it. Jordan Ellenberg's How Not to Be Wrong, a book about math, has some wonderful examples about lottery fuck ups, and they are hysterical and funny. That's redundant. They're illuminating, is what I mean. It's and sometimes you think how reading about something like a lottery being fucked up that could be exploited and basically make it so that you could win, is in some cases it's you just feel like how could the person who designed this be that stupid, and in other cases you think, oh my god, the person that figured out the cheat, the exploit to get around whatever randomness is inherent to this lottery, whatever process, nobody could have foreseen that, and bravo to that human being. But for the most part, it's mostly just stupidity. But the ones where it is, wow, I can't believe somebody pieced together a way to take what something seems like totally random, like drawing numbers from a bucket, and being able to routinely make money from that, which again has happened in history. Sometimes it is, some of those stories are very much, wow, you have to rethink about how we think about the idea of lotteries and randomness and all together, blah, 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 blah. Again, that book is Jordan Ellenberg's How Not to Be Wrong. Don't know why I brought it up. Lotteries. Can I talk about auctions real quick while we're talking about lotteries? I recently started getting interested in the concept of auctions, and to say that I'm interested in it because there are people who like study, like that's their entire thing is auctions. But I just read some book about math design of things, and doesn't matter, boring book, but there was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful chapter on lotteries and ways to design lotteries. And I hope I haven't gone over this before here on Weeds, but this is one of those things where the moment I heard it, it was like so utterly clear and illuminating, and like how did I never think of this concept, and two, why is this not implemented everywhere as the type of lottery? Although I think actually AdWords and shit, like the anonymous lotteries that go over all ads on the internet, actually take place like this. But traditional lotteries, the lotteries you think of as like, not lotteries, auctions. I'm conflating the two things there. I'm meant to be talking about auctions at this point. The gavels, the shit with the gavels, and the guys with the talking the fast, and Christie's and Sotheby's, those kind of auctions. And what is the best way to design an auction to get people to pay what is quote unquote the real price of something, like the actual value of it, for both the seller and the buyer to get as close to the true price. Now that's an economics term, and it's a real bullshit wiggle worm turd true price. So you can mostly ignore that. and I don't know if I'm losing you or not. I'm sure I am, but let me do this big bag and then I'll explain to you a cool idea. Okay, auctions. The way auctions work traditionally, when you think of an auction, it is um, a bidding process where there is a person auctioning something off and auctioning it to a market of people. And those people are trying to purchase that product, and they are all competing against each other to buy that thing. And that usually benefits the seller and not so much the buyer, because the buyers bid themselves up, blah, 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 blah. Um, so it usually leads to these things where a buyer pays more for something than it's actually worth. And it's also a messy process. There's no, I don't need to go over too much why it's bad. It's bad. The better way to run an auction is to have everybody submit their bid, which is called a blind auction, instead of bidding at publicly, where you have like the people who raise their little hammers up or whatever, sheets of paper saying, I'll bid 5,000 more, I'll bid 5,000 more. Blind auctions are very similar, except you just write on a piece of paper ahead of time what you want the price, what you're willing to pay for it. And then at the end, all those are collected, and whoever has the highest price, highest number, wins and pays that price. Again, benefits the seller. All right. Best way to do it is to basically do a silent auction. But the person who wins the auction is the second highest bidder, not the highest bidder. So you run auctions the same way as a silent auction. Everybody bids silently. They put in their bids without really knowing what the other people are going to bid. Then the winner of that auction does not go to the person with the highest number. It actually goes to the person with the second highest number. And what that does is it gets people to calibrate their number much more in line with what they think other people are going to pay. And they are going to have to think much, much, much more sophisticatedly about what the number they are going to write down is, because they can't just automatically win it by putting in some crazy high, unbelievably high number. They'll just lose because they'll be the highest auction and it goes to the second. But also, they need to think very carefully that they don't go too high or too low, so they can get right into that second place slot to win that auction, to get whatever the thing is. It benefits buyers, it benefits sellers. It is a genius idea. There are some auctions that already go this way. Again, I think like AdWords and shit, like digital auctions, I think do things similar to that. Could be wrong. But all auctions should be run that way. It's much more fair. It actually gets people thinking very concretely about what something is worth, and not so much, even though I'm contradicting what I said, not so much what they think exclusively in terms of beating others. They think, well, what is that actual thing worth? And trying to put their bid as that dollar amount. It's just hugely beneficial for everybody. This way auctions should be run. And what a weird thing to be talking about. But, that's what you come here for, is to hear about auction design. Let's see. Media. This is usually the point where we do the rundown. What cool shit have we watched, played, done recently? But first, I forgot I have to catch up here on chat. Got some newbies here. Lena says, I'm living in the US and planning on buying a van and heading south just to get the fuck out. Lena, I certainly do not blame you. Especially, well, there doesn't even need to be an especially. Good luck to you. I hope you find somewhere hospitable. It is understandable why, well, at least 50% of the country would feel uncomfortable living here. soon, but yikes. It doesn't seem like things are gonna get better anytime soon. If I was a betting man, I would say, oof, it's gonna be a rough year. Okay, Justin says it's kind of here already. Not quite like Ready Player One, but I've seen people with full body tracking in VR chat. Yes, I totally agree with you, Justin, that VR is already here. I understand why people, might hesitate. There are a variety of reasons, but none of those reasons should be because you don't think it's because you think it's a toy or you think it's a gimmick or whatever. There are a ton of reasons why it's acceptable not to be interested in VR, but if your reason is like, oh, it's like the '90s, is a gimmicky bullshit, you're wrong. Check it out. Um, and I can't wait for more tracking type stuff. It seems like the next gen of headsets that is going to be the focus. In addition to like eye tracking, which could be the biggest thing in VR since wireless. Get yourself some foveated rendering, which is this wonderful concept that with eye tracking in VR, that you don't actually need to, with the way that your eyes work, your eyes are only fixated and focused on basically one tiny little point in space at time, and the rest is quite blurry. But your brain sort of fills in the rest of the details and helps with that illusion. And you can sort of take advantage of the fact that your brain helps fill in the world around you and you really only focus on one point in space at a time. In VR, with eye tracking, you only have to process a tiny bit of the two screens that you see at one go if your eyes are being tracked, and you can let things other than that little tiny part you're focused on, you can let the resolution, dip, you can defocus, you don't have to put as many resources into that image that isn't right where you're focused on, which frees up processing power to, make that tiny little bit that you're seeing look hyper realistic. It could lead to all kinds of wonderful. I've seen some pie in the sky things like saying, oh, actually VR is going to be the best looking medium in 5 years time with foveated rendering, because the amount of rendering that they'll actually need to do is so minuscule compared to 2D, standard a TV video game, because all they're doing is having to render like some 10, way more than that, some cluster of pixels at once, and then let everything else be way less precise. And you then, you can make every bit of your graphical focus on just that thing, and VR is going to be the best visuals. I don't believe that to be true, and I don't think anybody should, but it definitely seems like there is going to be some real performance advantages for foveated rendering and eye tracking. That's one of trackers. And then the more exciting trackers, I think, well, not more exciting, that's super exciting. Similarly exciting trackers, like Apple's trackers reportedly, and I think Project Cambria as well, have more external, like downward facing trackers for way better hand tracking, maybe some point feet tracking. And really, once you have feet and hand tracking, you have body tracking more or less. I mean, I'm sure there are some edge cases where it, would fuck up in very funny looking ways. But really, if you have those 4 points, you can figure out a lot of the rest. So yeah, I think we're right on the cusp of that cool shit, and again, I think people just underestimate this. It's a hobby horse here on Weeds, talking about how great VR is, to be honest. Okay. Justin says he deleted his Facebook a long time ago, but had to get it back again for Oculus. Welcome to the club. I also had to do the same thing and had to do it again for Quest 2. Before that, you did not actually have to have a Facebook login, and had Oculus stuff for generations, not human generations, technological. That seems like a weird thing to clarify. But yes, now you do. Although I think now you don't. I haven't undone it, but I think they made it that you can now decouple a quest from a Facebook account, which is wonderful. It's fine for me because I actually just use, and if you ever want to find me, that's how I use my Wheats Facebook account. I don't have a personal Facebook account. So if you ever want to try to find me on Oculus, you can use whatever I use on Facebook, I think. I think. Dr. Till Biden. Welcome, Dr. Till. So glad you could join us. Education is an underrated thing. Goddamn whoever disparaged you, however long ago it was. But I know you're not Dr. Jill, you're Dr. Till. And Till, T-I-L, Dr. I can't even, I was going to make some kind of thing I learned joke, but you have to be quicker on the draw, more witty than I am to, pull them out like that. And this weed stuff doesn't help. Boysen. I hope I'm saying that right. Boysen Igran. What's up, man? Well, welcome, Boysen. So glad you could join us. Love your berries. Justin says he might watch this on his Quest 2 in that YouTube VR app, which is okay. I've definitely watched some VR stuff on that YouTube VR app. You'd have to watch me in pancake version. I don't have a 360 camera here, but much like my favorite. Oh shit! Maybe we should go down this rabbit hole real quick. It would be a strange rabbit hole detour to take, talking about on cinema, at the cinema. Probably my favorite thing right now on cinema, at the cinema. Tim Heidecker's YouTube, Tim Heidecker and Greg Turkington's YouTube movie review show. Although it's on Adult Swim, it's on YouTube. It wasn't started there. You can find it all on cinema. It's the cinema, most wonderful thing. They did an entire season in VR. This is why I'm bringing it up. Maybe I should do that as well. It'll probably go just as well for me as it did for them. And honestly, if you just say, fuck this guy, I'm going to check out this on cinema shit, you'd be doing yourself a favor. It genuinely is the funniest thing it is the most ambitious, greatest project going. It's been going on for like a decade now. It is expanded so much more than a movie review show. It is a satirical movie review show. They don't actually, they do technically review movies, but that's not what it's about. But it has expanded. There's a run for District Attorney of San Bernardino County, a murder trial, a James Bond, Jason Bourne-ish TV show called Decker, 3 bands, DKR, Decker, Dakar. So it's an expansive thing. If you just need yourself many hours of the bleakest, funniest, grimmest entertainment on the planet, start your journey with On Cinema, at the cinema. I cannot recommend it higher. It truly is. It's a 6-bag. It's if I were on cinema, at the cinema, and I had to give them a review, 6 bags of pop. All right. Crap. I'm so far behind. Boysen says, like the hair and beard man. Well, thanks. And Boysen says he sells, or she sells, fart jars. Let me know if you're interested. Always. Do you, Boysen, if you're still out there, I hope, do you do custom smells like for your farts? Do you eat different things ahead of time? Like this is a fart after eating Taco Bell. This is a fart after, 2 days of fasting. This is a fart where I actually shat. Things like that. Or is it just blanket, one fart fits all? No hate if it's one fart fits all, but I think you got a real opportunity, Boysen, to expand your market and, you know, sell farts that were born from different sources. And you know, I assume it's a fetish thing, so you could even really lean into that too. You know, I bet it gets real weird and gross. Um, but no hate. I love a fart. I think farts are the funniest thing in the world. Um, love them. If the day that I don't laugh at somebody uh, breaking wind is the day that I am ready to die, because that means there is no joy left in life. Um, nothing more funny than air escaping one's anus. Not being facetious in the slightest. Not one bit. Truly, farts are the funniest thing on the planet. I wish I could be more mature than that, but man, love them. Um, on farts are the funniest thing on the planet. Let's go get ourselves another bag here. Now we've got past fart jars. Dr. Till Biden says our state lotto puts millions into college scholarships every year. Dr. Till Biden, yes, they do. Um, which is a great byproduct of lotteries. And which is why I think it's great to think of lotteries as a voluntary tax. I wasn't actually saying that like as a I wasn't saying that as a slam in any way, shape, or form. More power to you if you want to participate in the lottery and think about it as a I care about education. Here's a dollar to the state's education fund. You know, it won't actually come out like that, but we can all hope. Um, and I think it's great that lotteries are used to fund things like scholarships. It was true in my home state of East Tennessee before I moved out here. They created a lottery when I was in high school, like right before I turned 18, or a few years before maybe, and used that money to give people scholarships and shit. It was great. It was wonderful. Perfect use of a new pot of money. Um, I feel bad for all of the people. God damn. Do we? Okay. Gambling is crazy fucking addictive. Um, I luckily not affected. Luckily not. You know, here we go. LOL. But here's the hypocrite smoking weed every day, talking about not being addicted to things. But luckily, outside of this, and I understand, and you totally, if you want to call me a hypocrite, cool. But man, so I'm very grateful not to have an addictive personality types, not to struggle with addiction. I think people, as a society, we underestimate how strong gambling addiction can be for some people. I it is pernicious and bad. Um, and unlike a lot of other addictions, gambling preys upon fundamental like things in human psychology, not you know like needs for psychological comfort or the sort of states that food or alcohol or drugs might put us in, but almost more reptilian parts of your brain, older parts of your brain. Gambling is that gambling addiction takes root in, because gambling in and of itself is the idea of taking a chance, making the we find gambling inherently compelling and enjoyable because it is in our evolutionary best interest to be mildly risky, and games built to exploit that fundamental human drive, and for some people it is of course way worse than others, but it just always makes me feel a little weird for a state to not just sanction it, but to sponsor it. And as we often know, I was going to say, it affects the poorest of us the most. And that is true because they have the least access to resources. But there are very rich people who destroy their lives over gambling all the time too. And it's a rough thing. All things where you talk about vices are tough and when to know to draw the line. But I think gambling is an underappreciated addiction that is probably just as corrosive as alcoholism in our society, but it's not as visible. You don't, when you lose your paycheck to the slot machine, you don't see it as the same way as a kid getting hit and killed by a drunk driver. But it's bad. It's real bad. People lose their lives to gambling. And I'm not doing this as a fucking moralistic and certainly not a, religious thing. Although I think, I think most Abrahamic faiths have not great things to say about gambling. But yeah, it's rough. It's rough, and it takes advantage of parts of your brain that you have no control over, and truly, you know, hardwired elements of us. And lotteries. I should go buy a scratcher after this. It'll be the first one since I've been 18. Larry David says, how many consecutive nights consuming edibles equals too many? Ooh, good question, Larry David. And one that I have thought about several times. I try not to do edibles more than, I like to say 2 days in a row. Give myself, at least a day off between two. But it usually is sometimes 3 days. And then, and I always like to try to take at least 2 days off of edibles, if not a full 5 days. Especially now when I'm not doing as many edibles or reviews and things. But I think you don't want to do edibles more than ideally 2 or 3 nights in a row before giving yourself a break, tolerance-wise, so as not to diminish the effects. Because consecutive evenings of high-dose edibles will absolutely make there will be a diminishing effect. And the higher the dosage, not that I have to explain any of this to you guys, the greater the drop off, so on and so forth. But yeah, so I would say, Larry David, 2 or 3 nights. Your mileage may vary. My last day of edible usage was Sunday night, so I'm at 3 nights. Maybe I will. I got nice and high on Sunday night. And saw the Bob's Burgers movie. I was lucky enough to go to a press screening, and it is great. Yeah, I think great, depending on your views of the Bob's Burgers television show, which I think most people understand as a great thing. I really enjoyed it. If you don't like Bob's Burgers, you're not going to like this. It is... I think the biggest sin or criticism you could level at the Bob's Burgers movie would be that it is unambitious. It feels kind of just like an expanded, like a 3-part Bob's Burger episode. I mean, the plot is slightly bigger. The stakes are a little higher. There is some peril in this one, but it really just feels like a expanded, multi-part Bob's Burgers episode come to the theater with a slightly higher animation budget, which is fine, which is great. I loved it. Really enjoyed it. It is not, however, like the Simpsons movie I remember as, bigger in scope. They had a higher animation budget, tried more ambitious things with their animation, and had the scale of the story was greater, in the Springfield was like under a dome, about to be blown up. I remember the Simpsons movie quite fondly, actually. I think it was pretty good, especially after decades of Simpsons disappointment. Uh, the Bob's Burgers movie is not that. It is going for, if you love the show, you're gonna like this, and that's about it. But uh, that is not a criticism. So Bob's Burgers movie, check it out. It's in theaters tomorrow, I think. Enjoyed it. What else have we seen recently? I think Sub. Uh, Shit. What has been? I had COVID. I forgot to mention that. I finally got it after two and a half years. No idea where I got it from. Not a clue in the world. Just randomly one evening was like, oh, my throat is a little sore. And then it was did a test and bada bing, bada boom. Pretty mild, 3 or 4 days of feeling kind of crappy, but not, not terrible. And certainly not as bad as the majority of folks, I would say, even. But went through it, so I missed some movies at that time. But Top Gun coming out this weekend, supposedly great. Who would have seen that coming? Go Tron guy is the director, who's also doing. That's Joseph Kosinski did Tron and Oblivion, the Tom Cruise, which is what I assume he's doing. Boy, I'm super high right now, guys. I'm crazy, crazy high. Just going over movie releases. Uh, Top Gun. It's coming out in theaters. Against all expectations, it's supposed to be good. I don't remember shit about the original Top Gun. I haven't seen this since I was in high school. Tony Scott, pour one out. He killed himself many years ago. Brother of Ridley Scott. Is very sad. Not a very good director, but not to shit. I don't know why I said that, Tony Scott. You're dead. You're not supposed to disparage the dead. Even if the movie Domino sucked. And it sucks that you were feeling bad. Tony Scott, pour one out. Also, let's just pour one out for Ridley Scott, too, because what good has he done in a long time? Spicy take, but come on. Come on. Ridley Scott, come on. What have you done in a long time? The House of Gucci. Yikes. Let's not shit all over Ridley Scott right now. We all love Blade Runner. We all love Gladiator. There was a time where, and this is the last rant, and then after this bag, we'll say it has been fun to hang out, but I miss the good old days with Ridley Scott where it was you'd get one bad one and one good one. Like the days of the 2000s where you'd get like a Body of Lies and then a Matchstick Men or something. A real bad one that nobody remembers. And then like oh man, cool. You get like a Kingdom of Heaven. Ugh. And then you get like a Kingdom of Heaven director's cut, which is like, ooh, that's pretty good. I know that's already defeating my criteria. But now you just mostly get not great Ridley Scott movies. See the last two Alien movies. Well, one was called Prometheus, one was called Alien. Also, spicy take. Last spicy take of the evening. Prometheus is a better movie than Alien Covenant, and Prometheus is not a good movie, but it's better than some people give it credit for. Ooh, that's controversial. All right, my voice is shot. It has been wonderful hanging out with everybody. I will say more definitively than last time, I will be back in the near future to do some more live streams. Can't promise tomorrow, probably tomorrow, but certainly back next week, if not then. And I look forward to seeing some of you guys then and getting high with you then. We'll probably do some Elden Ring and fail catastrophically at that time. So I hope we can see some of you folks for Elden Ring for our next stream, if that's in fact what we do. Until then, stay